What's up, class of 2020?
Hey there, class of 2020.
Congratulations, class of 2020.
Hey to the class of 2020. It's hard to believe that we are here almost at the end of your school year, senior year. It seems like yesterday that you guys were just starting your journey here in the upper school as freshmen, and even more recently, like just coming into boot camp, getting ready to start the application process and getting serious about what you were doing, where you were going to apply. I just wanted to tell you guys how much I enjoyed working with all of you. And most of you were really organized and had it all together and were great. And for the few of you who weren't, even then, it's still, you didn't make it too painful. And for that, I appreciate it. Some of you just took a little bit longer. Some of you applied to a lot of schools. I'm not going to mention how many. And a lot of you only applied to one, which was even better. You all have great choices for next year. For those of you who have decided where you're going, congrats. You should be really proud of yourselves. Worked hard to get there, and you're going to really great schools.
You finally made it. I remember you finally. I remember that you're the last class I had the pleasure of teaching 5th and 6th grade. What does that say about you? You either wore us out or you did a wonderful job and we didn't want to repeat. I remember your class well. You added 50% more students in 6th grade. What a great bunch. You were wonderful in the arts, academics, and athletics. I still remember my very good soccer team and lacrosse team. I remember a lot of that, and you are seniors now. You were also a mischievous bunch. We won't mention all those things you did. Jolly Ranchers were your food group. Blue was the favorite. You did all kinds of things for St. Paul's. I especially appreciate your visits and peer tutoring that allowed me to connect with you again and again. I appreciate teaching your brothers before you and then after you. And I really wish you well in your college years.
Really miss having the opportunity to see you guys multiple times a day, getting music and comedy recommendations from Tucker and George, hearing about what's frustrating Colin Planta lately, witnessing Cookie talk trash to literally everyone. I was running on the NCR the other day and I ran into Marco, and I could not believe how excited and happy that made me. I forget until I see somebody, or I'm just reminded that how much I love seeing you guys, love being around y'all. It's made me really realize that I have taken you for granted. I just want to let you know that I'm thinking about you. Hope you're all doing well, and hope we get to see each other real soon.
Figured I might give a little word of wisdom for the next 5 years or so of your life. 1, stay in touch with your boys. Keep those relationships. Super important. The older I've gotten, the more I've realized that the relationships I've made when I was younger are so much more meaningful than the relationships I may make now. College was a freaking grind for me. It was, there were some dark days. I went in thinking that college was going to be the time of my life, and it ended up being a time of rediscovery and rethinking what I'm all about, and it wasn't easy at all. That's not to get your spirits dampened or anything, but it's okay to have all kinds of different experiences, and you'll learn and you'll grow and you'll come out on the other side better for having it.
Hey, all you cool kittens and cats. Tiger King reference for you right there. Been watching a lot of Tiger King in quarantine. A little blast from the past. This is Chaplain Sell reaching out to give my best wishes to the class of 2020. I think about St. Paul's often. I think about you guys often, and I miss you guys. Couple things for you. Thinking about you in your senior year. No, this isn't probably how you wanted things to end. But 2 things came to mind, and the first is, in the chapel, in the doors as you leave the chapel, it says that the Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming forth even forevermore. And that's kind of my prayer for you guys right now, is that there will be a time when you get to go through those chapel doors again, and that'll be a good and sweet time when that happens. This is my daughter Allie, by the way. She says hi. And I hope that you will be safe and preserved, that God will keep you safe until that time comes, and that'll be a sweet time when you get to go back through those doors again. And then the other thing is that one of St. Paul's famous sayings is that I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. And so as you guys finish up your senior year together, my hope and prayer for you guys is that you will continue to fight the good fight, look out for each other. You guys are all brothers, you'll take care of each other, and you'll finish the race strong and keep the faith, and this will pass. And I just know that you guys have so many bright and awesome things in your future. Someday, maybe you'll get to be a dad and get to have a beautiful baby like this. You have so many cool experiences ahead of you in college and sports and other things waiting for you. Lots of adventures to come, and I just wish you well and wish you all the best and hope that life treats you guys right.
It's kind of hard to think about what memories I would want to share with you, or what I would want to talk about when so many of us have had so many good moments, whether I taught you in the 9th grade or we've gone on trips together, or moments on the junior retreat, or just a conversation down the hall. However, I do have 3 main lessons that I learned while traveling abroad with guys from the class of 2020 that I think are pretty good lessons for all of us to take to heart. And I think that it is time for some of those to be shared with the rest of the community. So I think that it is very clear to those of us who went to South Africa that very quickly we learn how an inside joke can become a transcontinental crisis. And Nick Stansberry definitely taught all of us how to be a little bit more aware of our surroundings and making sure that we are doing the right things at all times. In Hawaii, I think that Chen, Ian, and Timmy learned very quickly how sometimes silence can say a whole lot more than the things that are going through your mind. But don't worry, guys, I still would go back to the North Shore and try to find turtles with you guys. And in Peru, I think Patrick and I learned that traffic laws are very different in different countries, that hopefully we're not going to be prosecuted for animal endangerment and causing traffic accidents. But I think that we learned that sometimes a good sleep and a good meal can make everything better.
So I thought about what I wanted my message to be, and I definitely have maybe a more serious, sentimental part of this. I figured that your class, having known me the best in my new dean role has always been pretty good about making fun of me. I think a pretty easy target, and you guys have actually had a few student jokes land where I had to pause and be like, wow, that was disrespectful, but actually pretty creative. Good for you. So I wanted to share, hopefully to get a couple smiles, the all-time burn that I've experienced in my 10 years at St. Paul's. It came my second year teaching here, had an advisor who was unfortunately in front of the honor council, and at that point, the honor cases were in the chapel classrooms. So we finished our case. He had just heard what his consequences were going to be, and we were talking through it, and remembered that the hockey head coach at the time had asked me to make an announcement. So, finished our conversation, ran upstairs, get into the narthex, and Evan Schwab, who was the VP covering for the president that day, was about to do the school prayer. So I say something, and he looks around and is like, "Oh, sorry, one more announcement." And I unwittingly go up to the podium, and sitting to my left in one of the chairs right next to the podium is Mr. Thorpe. So I go to lean in to make one of my stereotypical classic hockey announcements. Mr. Thorpe stands up, leans in front of the mic, and is just like, "Excuse me, student announcements are over." And there I am, second year teacher, and there's a pause, chapel gets quiet, and then just the roof blows off the building. Every junior and senior standing ovation, freshmen and sophomores laughing, a lot of teachers that were thinking it's hysterical and also really awkward. That was really insulting. Took all of my energy not to chirp back Mr. Thorpe in front of everyone, but I got torpedoed that assembly by Mr. Thorpe himself, and that's not only still stinging a little bit, but something I'm proud of. So hopefully, you enjoy imagining what that must have looked like.
Hi, everybody. This is Charlie Mitchell, Director of Alumni Relations at St. Paul's. I graduated in 1973, and I wanted to share with you a traumatic event that occurred when I was in 6th grade, which is my first year at St. Paul's. One morning before classes started, I was down in the area right outside Tech, throwing a lacrosse ball off the wall very leisurely, talking to one of my friends. And at that time, all of the middle school classes were in the mansion because the middle school had yet to be built. And the ball sailed over my stick and went right through Mrs. Talbot's 5th grade classroom window. Well, I was terrified. I didn't know what to do, so I didn't do anything. I went to class, and sure enough, first period, the 7th grade messenger knocked on the door and said, Mr. Long wants to see Charlie Mitchell in his office. Now, Mr. Long was the head of middle school and is a pretty scary guy, and his office was not a place you wanted to be, so I was further terrified. So I went into his office, and he started yelling at me about what I'd done, and didn't I know I wasn't supposed to be playing ball down there. And I didn't know what to say because I thought if I said yes, I'd be in trouble for breaking the rules, and if I said no, I'd be in trouble for not knowing the rules. And he continued to yell at me, and I got more and more terrified and was convinced that my career at St. Paul's was going to be over before it even began. I later found out Mr. Long had once been in the CIA, which may have explained a few things. So toward the end of his tirade, he said, well, you're going to pay for that window. And I said, I squeaked out, yes, sir, I'm happy to pay for that window. I have allowance, just, let me know how much it costs. And so he sent me back to class, and I never heard any more about it. The window got fixed, and so now in the mornings as I'm walking into my office on the top floor of the mansion, I watch with a smile the 6th grade boys throwing rubber balls off the side of the mansion wall and the side with no windows. And so I get a smile out of that. And of course, remember that incident that happened to me so long ago.
I think the more serious message is just about what all this ultimately means. It's clearly historic. We haven't had something like this happen in the world since 1918. And, in the short term, it's going to be tough. It's cool that you guys have made it so clear what matters to you. Like, I can't wait, whether it's on the date schedule later in June or Thanksgiving, Christmas. I don't care when it is. I can't wait to watch all of you graduate, like formally walk across the stage, get your diploma, get your Bible, and have that moment in front of your family, friends, and classmates. I know the faculty at St. Paul's want to see that. But I think long term, the memories from high school fade pretty quickly. College is an awesome experience. You're going to make some of the best friends you'll have there. And I think that ultimately, like, what you guys get is a special place in not only St. Paul's history, but like history in general. For the next, hopefully, 100 or more years, people will look back at what's happening now as a world-changing moment. And I know at our school, the class of 2020 is going to hold an incredibly important place in our history. They not only, graduated and led us through a global pandemic, but they led our school into the next phase of its history, both with a new upper school and, the fact that we now have a president and are the St. Paul schools. You guys are the cornerstone, and that's really, really cool. I hope that you guys can see those silver linings, and I can't wait for 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road to come back and visit and see you guys returning as alums and continue to be the band of brothers that's been your slogan and like your just theme all year.
So stay in touch.
Please come back to St. Paul's for a Jolly Rancher.
Please just remember that my door is always open, even after you leave St. Paul's, and I'm here to help you.
So in all this mess, just take one breath at a time. Nobody really knows what's going to happen, but thank you guys for all that you've done for St. Paul's and what you will continue to do going forward. You guys have made me feel at home, in my first year teaching, and I'm really grateful for that. So much love. Go get it. Have a good one.